Hi everyone, I hope you guys are keeping well. In this video, we're gonna talk about, again, how you can train in the gym with disc bulges. This routine is a medium level intensity in comparison to the first phase that I showed you a couple of weeks ago. And in this routine, you're going to progress those exercises that you started in the phase 1 and you're gonna progress them to phase 2. Phase 2 obviously is going to be a little bit more advanced in comparison to what you did initially, but I believe you can gradually progress these exercises after 6 to 8 weeks, gradually build up movement and confidence and move on to this phase. If you've never been in this channel, my name is Bob, I'm a physical therapist, and the purpose of this channel is to help people like yourself with simple tips and exercise for quicker recovery. Make sure to subscribe my channel for my weekly update and don't forget to press that like button. Let's get started. If you guys haven't started this routine from the first phase, I would highly recommend to go back to the first phase of routine in the gym and start with that, gradually build up. And I must say, there is no particular time to progress it to the phase 2. Every single person is different and built different, and their injury can be totally different from each other. And for that matter, you need to spend your time, gradually build up, and don't rush to progress to phase 2. Progression is all about you are doing something comfortable and you're feeling good with it, and you want to build it up and go to something a little bit more advanced. And for that matter, there's no competition, there's no particular time, and I would suggest you to spend time, build up confidence, and gradually build up to phase 2. For that matter, I'll leave you a link below. If you haven't started phase 1, go through the phase 1, step by step, build up those movements and move on to the first 2. Alright guys, the first exercise that we're going to do in the phase 2 of your rehabilitation in the gym, we're going to add on some basically extra intensity to your routine. The intensity doesn't mean necessarily doing a heavier weight or doing more repetition. We're going to add on some movement that's going to challenge you and your core and your back that you probably sometimes avoid doing them. The first exercise is going to be a squat and rotation. You're going to use some weights that suits you, maybe 2 kg, 3 kg, or even maybe a little bit heavier, but you gotta try and see what works for you. I have a medicine ball here that is 4 kg, and I'm going to do squat and rotation. In this exercise, we're trying to reintroduce rotation to lumbar spine and mid back, which can sometimes create some aggravation in your lumbar spine and the back pain. But we're going to, before you're getting sore, reintroduce these movements into your body and minimize the chance of getting back spasm. Let's give it a try and let's basically practice and see how you're getting on. You're gonna basically go to the rotation while you're doing squat and bring the ball next to your foot and back up to the starting position. You're gonna do the same thing for 5 repetitions. Back up, slow control down, back up, back up. One more. Cool. I'm gonna rotate to the side. You can see me from the side. What we're going to do, I'm gonna hold this nice and tall, relax, back up. In this phase of your routine, you've already done the first phase for a couple of weeks. You're feeling comfortable, and you're gradually going to build up to something a little bit more intense. One more. Great stuff. Now, as you can see guys, this movement is not very fast, it's graded. You're going to control the movement through the basic exercise. And while you're practicing this, it's not about how many repetitions you do. You can start with basically 3 sets of 5 each side and gradually progress them maybe to 7 or 8 repetitions. We're going to move on to an upper body exercise that you can get access in this machine in any of the gym that you go. We call it shoulder press machine, that if you ask any of the trainer in the gym can guide you where to use it. We're going to use a relatively kind of like moderate weights that get your upper body start moving and challenge the muscle that you don't use them for a while. You're gonna basically adjust the machine to the point that the level of the handle should be above your shoulder. It shouldn't be lower, because that's really gonna be difficult to lift it. You're gonna relax your back and sit back and try to breathe in and out while you're doing this exercise. We're gonna try this exercise for 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions. As you can see, I'm not going very fast. Slow control up, slow control down. I'm controlling the movement all through the exercise. Shoulder press can hugely help you to strengthen your upper body routine. If you're suffering from lumbar spine disc bulges, you may want to know, okay, why do I actually do this exercise? And is that really necessary to train my upper body? And my answer would be 100%. You don't want to just focus on your back exercises and try to keep strengthening your core or bracing your core. Strengthening your whole body can hugely help you to strengthen basically your whole system. And we are not moving in isolation. And whenever you move and you lift something, you use all of these muscle groups, which means you have to utilize all of these muscle groups for longer, basically, optimum results. Give it a try and let me know if you have any question. Guys, we're gonna move on to another lower body routine which can hugely engage your core, at the same time utilize muscle that we don't use them in a day-to-day living. We're talking about static lunges. This exercise can be sometimes very challenging for people who never done them before. I'm going to simplify it for you with a couple of small changes that you can do in how you're doing it. We're gonna try to use somewhere to balance ourselves, and in this exercise you're going to maintain your feet shoulder width apart, and by holding that or having that at the side somewhere in the kitchen, or if you're in the gym you can use the wall, you're going to try to go to the lunge movements. I'm going to show you in two different basic angles that you can see it clearly how to try these movements. You are going to try to make a slightly longer steps, and as you can see, I'm not going too low to bang my knee down to the ground. Slow control, back down, up again, adjust my foot again. This exercise should be done slow tempo. You're gonna do only 8 repetitions in total, which means 4 and 4 initially to build that movement and coordination. You're gonna go slow control down, back up, feet shoulder width apart, don't rush it, and back up again. Now I'm gonna show you from this angle that you can see how far is my foot from each other. I try to maintain this space through the movement, slow control, and back down again. And when you're doing this movement, you don't want to look down, you want to look forward and try to keep your basically torso up straight, nice and tall. Slow control and back up. The tempo is slow, you're not rushing it. You have to gain this coordination and try to use the wall for your balance. This exercise should be done 3 sets of 8 in total, which means 4 and 4 in each leg. And whenever you felt this comfortable, then you can hold on to something and practice this exercise with weighted lunges. But for quite some time, maybe a couple of weeks, you can practice this exercise, and if you got comfortable with it, do more repetition on it for optimum results. We're going to move on to bodyweight push-up, and for many of you guys that I've seen in my clinic, doing push-up is not really easy because you've never done them before, and if you have practiced it, you realize that doing a proper push-up sometimes can be really difficult. I do want to start doing push-ups in somehow you can simplify it and start with doing it on the kneeling position or different variety that I'm gonna show you shortly. We're gonna start with basically doing them on a kneeling position. As you can see, your hands gonna be slightly far away from your body, shoulder width apart, and you're going to kind of maintain your core and your lower back stabilize while you're doing it, which means your lower back doesn't sink when you're going down. You want to keep the hip up, maintain that tension, and try to lean forward and go down. Now, I do have a separate video that I've explained how to simplify doing push-up from easiest version to more advanced, and I will leave a link for you. If you're going to see any difficulty with doing push-ups, you can go to this video and watch this video and practice this exercise as part of your routine, and start with the level that suits you and gradually build it up. But by simply doing bodyweight push-ups, you can hugely activate the deep core muscle group that coordinate your lower back, and in that case you can have a better core and coordination while you're doing movements such as push-up, etc. Give it a try and let me know if you have any question. Alright guys, one of the machines that you can find in any of the gyms that you go to is a cable machine that you can basically set up a seated row exercise. Now, you may have access to seated row machine in the gym, which is totally a different machine, but similar is a cable, and if you ask any of the trainers over there, they can show you. Now, you're going to pick up the weight that is pretty comfortable while you're pulling it. You don't want to really challenge it. You want to first master the exercise and then gradually build up the intensity. Now, I'm using a bar, kind of like mid-width bar, not too wide, not too short. And in this exercise, I'm going to stabilize my foot here. And the purpose of doing this exercise, it's kind of like really challenging in my back muscle. You're going to lean forward and pull back. While you're doing this exercise, you want to basically create that tension, that you don't want to lose the tension while you're doing it. As you can see, I'm stretching my upper back muscle before it touched the other plate. I'm maintaining the tension, looking up, squeezing my shoulder blade at the back and leaning forward. Now, this exercise should be done in a slow tempo, not too heavy. And as you can see, I'm not pulling it up to my face. It's pretty low. I'm bringing it below my basically sternum, or let's say below my chest, stretching it forward and pull back. My elbows are not wide, keep them close, tidy next to my body. This exercise is pretty simple and is very effective if you want to basically activate your mid and upper back muscle group. While you're utilizing those muscles, you have to engage your core and stabilize your core to have a right technique. Now, breathing is essential for this exercise. Try it for 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions and do not increase the weight to something very heavy. You have to have a right technique, right tempo and speed. Give it a try and let me know if you have any question. Alright guys, we're gonna move on to the last exercise in this routine. There's a core exercise that I would like to introduce to your routine, which we call a dead bug. Dead bug hugely can help you to coordinate and engage your deep core muscle group that you have. And in this exercise, you can get a really good control of while you're moving your upper limb and lower limb, engaging this muscle group. Now, if you never done dead bug before, you gotta be patient with doing this exercise. It can be challenging, but I believe if you follow my previous version of the home workouts, you definitely have done it before. You're gonna lie on your back, and we are going to bring your both arms and hands off the ground. While you're doing dead bug, guys, your lumbar spine is flat on the ground, which means you're trying to maintain that tension while you're moving any of your upper body or lower body, which means we're gonna start with moving one leg and go to the point that you're kind of like touching the ground and coming back up. Now, while you're doing this exercise, my lumbar spine is attached. I'm breathing in and out, and I'm trying to maintain that tension while I'm breathing. Now, if you got comfortable with this exercise, you can gradually move one arm and one hand at the same time. But if you haven't practiced this before, try single arm, single leg while you're maintaining this tension. When you got more comfortable with it, you can try maybe one side, back again. Very slow tempo, control. And then you can try the other side while you're maintaining the other limb stable. There's a huge amount of tension while you're doing the dead bug, guys. It looks very easy, but when you do them with a slow tempo, you can definitely feel the tension and how much you need to recruit those deep core muscle group. Give it a try and let me know if you have any questions. One of the questions that many of you guys asking me in my videos that I uploaded earlier, that can I add on some cardio to my rehab plan while I'm suffering from lumbar disc bulges? The cardio exercise are definitely can be part of your routine, but every single person has a different, I suppose, aggravator factor, which means for some people, walking for prolonged can be aggravating their lumbar spine and their lower back. For some people, running can aggravate their back. For some people, cycling can be aggravating their back, and is varied from each individual. But it does not mean that you should not do those exercises or movements. Cardio can be pretty effective way of getting simply fitter and improving your cardiovascular system. I would highly recommend to my patient to add on some sort of cardio that they can do and it does not aggravate their pain, and they can actually carry on even with 5 minutes initially and gradually build them up. Which means if you find that you're interested to go back to, for example, cycling or doing some cross trainer or let's say elliptical exercises, you can start with 5 minutes in the first day that you're going back and try and see how much your body can take. 5 minutes can be a good start, and whenever you got more comfortable with your routine, after a couple of weeks you can increase it maybe to 7 or 8 minutes. This can be a great way to start gradually build up that momentum for optimum results. Give it a try and let me know if you have any question. I hope you guys find this video helpful. If you have any question in regards to any of the exercise that you see in this routine, leave me a comments. I would be happy to create more content in regards to how you can modify them, simplify them, or progress them. Make sure to watch this video a couple of times, practice this exercise and look at the technique that I'm using, and make sure that you're following the steps correctly, and it will come with time, and gradually you can build up that strength and confidence. If you haven't subscribed my channel yet, make sure to subscribe. And if you haven't liked this video, make sure to like it right away. I really appreciate your help. If you have any suggestion or rehab plan that you need, particularly for your injury, leave me comments and I will be more than happy to create more video in future. Until next week, all the best.